All right. So looks like we're live. Let me make some adjustments to this. Um, Obviously, this is not our normal setup. We had a little bit of a mishap with the basement, so this is not zoomed in very well. So let me see if I can fix the green screen somewhat here. So give me 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So this needs to go over that. Maybe look about it better. All right. Yeah. Let's see if we can do. All right, that's a little better. So sorry for that. Um, all right, so uh, all right, so this is not. Hold on, let's see if we can get this looking a little. All right, that's a little better. Let me see if we can do that. Maybe turn it like here, maybe. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why it's so wide on this camera with this. Um, so anyways, we got a fair number of folks here. So let's go ahead and start off with why we have the basically the green screen of death here. So we had a flood in the basement on Sunday night. If you guys are on the Discord, on Steven's Discord, you guys would have seen that. So basically, right above here, um, yeah. So let me say hi to everyone first. Sorry, I've been a little scatterbrained on the last few days, obviously. So you got Davos here, Peplin's here, Lumpy Dog is here, Mike Reardon, and Cam Jam, thank you, ma'am, is here. Hello, Josh from Cunningham Tropicals is here as well. So, so yeah, um, yeah. So let's go ahead and get into that. So first of all, yeah, like I said, it was starting to say the refrigerator, the line for the refrigerator for the ice maker runs right above my head here. There's a joist right here. It's cooked up to that. Fortunately, it sprung a leak. I don't know why, but the pipe actually failed and flooded my entire desk area here. So it flooded the computer, it flooded the floor, it flooded cameras, it flooded microphones, it flooded the whole shoot match. So um, thankfully, some things survived. My Sony A7 IV um, thankfully survived, or else I think I would have been filing a homeowner's claim. Um, but like my computer's dead. It turns on, but it won't connect to the TVs or anything. So that has all of my files and all of like all of the live streaming software, all the video, all the stuff that goes with it. So I have one of my daughter's old um, excuse me. So I have like one of my daughter's old laptops that we're streaming off of today. The webcam survived, the TV survived. Um, I lost my Sony. Was it the Sony ZV-1? I lost that camera as well. That's like an $800-900 camera. So a little disappointing there. Um, Lost the computer. I'm hoping that the hard drives are okay. It's a desktop, so like I have this box here I can kind of demonstrate, I guess. Um, so the hard drives are like in like the top corner here. So I'm hoping that so the water probably flowed down, and I'm hoping that the hard drives are okay. So I can at least get all my information. Like I've got stuff on there I kind of want to keep. I've got all my fish breeding history on that, like my video plans. So there's a lot of stuff that I really want to keep. So I'm kind of um, yeah, some of the stuff I want to keep, but unfortunately, because of that, we're kind of doing um, we're we're doing like the not the best stream tonight. So we're just doing, I don't have any of the green screen programs or anything like that. The video that runs with the Ciprochromus behind me normally, that's on the computer too. So we're just kind of just stuck with the boring green screen, and we're just gonna have to deal with that today. Which actually was not the announcement I was gonna make, but because I want to show you a couple of other things related to the announcement I was going to make, but I can't really do that without all my stuff. So, um, I don't know. Like if I make a claim for that, I don't know. I didn't think about that. Um, I could, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it for. I mean, I can live without the camera, and then it's just kind of the computer. Um, so hello, Joven. Welcome. So yeah, and I was gonna post another 7 sets of roll for fish food videos, which unfortunately that's not. I have to get a computer built and all that stuff first. Um, so yeah, really kind of not fun. So with that, I think we got a fair number of folks. We got 13 people here. So hopefully no one's on the other stream. So I had to cancel it because it wouldn't let me switch it to webcam. So um, yeah, so the real announcement, which was not this, is I'm actually going to be building a new fish room. So I'm going to decommission the fish barn. I have a space dedicated in the side over here, in the basement, where I can add quite a large number of tanks. The last 8 years of having the fish outside has been very hard on the building. It's been a little bit difficult on the building. Um, this winter was especially hard on a lot of things. Um, so like the goal, and the one thing when I built the fish barn is like I didn't know what I wanted, like where my niche was per se. 8 years ago I really didn't. I was keeping kind of everything, and over time it's developed into like the rare live bears, some rainbow fish, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so I have some space over here. I'm going to start very slowly and um, very slowly decommissioning the fish barn. Taking some of the weight off of the upstairs. The floor upstairs is not in the best shape. Plus, dealing with animals and whatever else. So, yeah. So Lumpy Dog asked if I'm going to be at the auction next weekend. Yes, I will be at the auction. So saying all of that, I'm going to, kind of answer as clearly as I can. I meant to write this down, but I just kind of ran out of time with the whole flooding and all the aftermath and all that stuff and things like that. Um, so kind of what this means kind of going forward. I'm going to keep doing the live streams Tuesday night. I still want to keep, I kind of want to keep that going. And like I said, I wanted to show you guys the plans, but I couldn't really, I can't really put another camera on this right now. But I do have a space over there. It's going to be probably 45-ish tanks, I think, 45, 50, depending on how I play Tetris with all the stuff. But the idea is to make it like a little bit of a nicer fish room. And the other one, like have all the 29-gallon tanks in one spot, all the 40s in another spot, and then not have it as there might be a little hodgepodge, kind of depending on how I want to keep everything. But the idea is to have like a little bit nicer fish room. All the racks are going to be painted. Make it something I want to take someone to. Like I think one of the things that's kind of kind of driven me to this point, along with, kind of just summer tubbing outside and whatever, and, the condition of the upstairs and all those things, squirrels and the whole shoot match. It was just kind of, it was starting to get to a point where I wasn't enjoying it. Um, yeah, Josh, I'm going to do a water change system. I do one now. It's very basic. It's going to be a pump. It's the one I do now. It's a pump inside of a food grade container, and that's going to be. I'll see how the temperature is with the water. I may or may not heat it, like in the wintertime or whatever. But I use a 55-gallon barrel with a pump, and I hook it onto a timer with using a Casa Wi-Fi timer, and I have that go off, and I have that run the water change system, and it's worked very well. And I have a drain back there, so it's perfect. So I can still do the auto water change system how I want to do it. I can look into the sprinkler thing too. Um, I need to go back through like the aquarium co-op videos and find um, the mixing valve. Like, he bought a specific mixing valve that mixes to a lower temperature. Like a lot of them will, like you look on Amazon, a lot of them will mix to um, like a 90-degree number or whatever. So so yeah, it was one of those things. So kind of going back though, I do want to go back to. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Foxy, and thank you, Peplin, um, for the member chat as well. I do appreciate that. So yeah, so Ed said that after 7 years finally automating, I caved. No, I'm not caving. I won't run a fish room without auto water change. I just think it's better for the health of your fish. And I get the argument that you spend more time with your aquariums if you do manual water change. Like, I want to make my life easier. I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to do that. It's just not my jam. So, but yeah, so we're gonna keep doing the live streams. Videos will kind of fall off a little bit. I've been making videos every week for 8 years, and so I've got videos kind of scheduled out through kind of the end of March right now. I may do one on the Motor City auction, depending on the computer situation and whatever else. Um, so that's the plan there. I'm not going to stream next week though. For a lot of reasons. One, the computer. Um, the computer thing, for one, I mean, that kind of put a dent in a lot of things. Computer thing, plus getting ready for the auction. I'm going to try to bring a fair amount of stuff to the auction. So there's going to be some downsizing going on. When I was planning this out, I went through and, counted the number of tanks and everything. I had 75 tanks. So, I mean, there'll be some downsizing, but I'll have to see kind of how it plays out as we go here. I have a pretty good plan for it, in terms of how I'm going to move things, at least to start. Um, you know, my favorite tanks are my 75, or no, sorry, my favorite tanks are my 29 gallons and my 40 breeders. I think those are kind of my favorite live air tanks. So I'm going to move those first. This is not something I'm going to do in like a weekend. This is going to be kind of a long, kind of over the summerish project, kind of starting now and then kind of moving over, into the summer. So I will be doing that. I'm still going to the ALA. I'm going to go to that convention, and I'm definitely going to the Keystone Clash. You guys saw I'm speaking at that, so I'll be going to that. Goal is to kind of have the fish room done by the end of August. Another thing too, going back, I'm kind of scatterbrained. I didn't have a chance to map all this out how I wanted to. The other thing I'm kind of was driving me to is like, you're kind of summer tubbing out there, and it's not cheap to do. With a second kid going to be in college in a couple years, it was kind of hard to justify the expense of running that building when there's probably some other priorities. We'll probably have to buy another car, for example, things like that. It's like, you know what? Um, is one of those things where it's just like, you know what? It's time to do something different. And plus, like I said, I wanted something different. I wanted something like this. The goal of this is to have kind of a nicer fish room. Now that I know what I want, like now that I have my interests, know what I want, and yeah. So, by the way, is the audio okay for you guys? Like this is a completely different than my normal setup. The speakers got creamed, and so it's part of the flood. So hopefully the audio is good for you guys. You guys aren't complaining, so I'm assuming it is. Um, but yeah, it's been yeah, it's something like I kind of lived my dream. I kind of lived my dream of putting a you know fish out there. So I live that, but it's like nothing lasts forever, and I'm kind of excited. I'm really excited about it actually. There's a good space back there. The floor's painted. Like I said, there's a drain. I have a old sink. I have a sink back there that I could hook back up if I wanted to. Behind here is there's another sink. Um, but I'll probably just use this one because I kind of want to have the space. But yeah, so Peplin says building a fish room is great content. Yeah, I'm deciding how I'm going to do that because there will be a video, obviously, of that whole process. I'm thinking about doing one video kind of at the, when I'm done, and then just kind of building out it over time. Um, and then yeah, and then kind of wanted to explain, to like I'm not leaving YouTube. I'll still make videos. I think, like I said, I'm going to make. I'll probably make a video on the ALA content. I'll make one on summer tubs. Like I'm still going to do summer tubs. Summer tubs will be kind of an important piece of this, I think. Being able to quote unquote store fish outside while this process is going on is probably going to be a pretty important thing. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm gonna still keep the channel name. My wife and I talked about this a little bit, and she's like, "Well, you can't call it the Fish Tank Barn if you're not in the barn anymore." I'm like, "Well, I still can." So, um, yeah, so I'm still gonna keep it. I may actually, because one of the things is there's a garage door that's still in there. Like when I built the barn, I basically walled off where the garage door is. And one of the things that we talked about is I'm going to reinvigorate the reinvigorate the um, garage door piece of the barn. Like I had it closed off and I've got it insulated and everything. So one of the things I am going to do is do that. Take that down. I think I'm going to take a piece of that and like make some sort of art with it. Make like use it as a background and like paint the Fish Tank Barn logo on it or something like that, just to have some little piece of the barn in the fish room. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about it. Like it's going to be fun. um it's going to be a little busy. The one thing I'm going to have to make sure I slow my roll, and once I get going on stuff like that, I go until I can't stop. Oh, oh, hmm. So, sorry, Sutton's Road. Seems all right. Yeah. So I don't know why you're getting removed. Like I don't think you're banned. Like, but you've come back now, so I don't know what happened. So, hello, Jennifer Linkus. Welcome. Yeah. So, guys, um, it's been a weird week. So, like, obviously, with the destruction of everything, um, kind of not thrilled, but it is what it is. It happens, I guess. I did build it now when I put in the new water line for the fridge. I did encase it in like a 3/4 inch PVC pipe. So if it ever does break again, it will either leak down this way behind me or leak into the front that way, which neither of those are great, but it's better than on my stuff. So, um, yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I do want to, like I said, I wanted to show you the actual area. The big, I spent most of this weekend cleaning it out, yeah, actually, and then I was watching some TV. Like towards the end, I was kind of tired and kind of relaxing a little bit before the work week and all the chaos stops or starts. So yeah, so that's kind of it. I mean, do you guys have any other questions? Like I said, I'll still be doing the tub videos. Um, I chopped up some trout worms for fish today. I wonder if they didn't like the word chopped. That's weird. So, so what the helm 2527 said, "Hi Mike, thank you for the great talk and good ads for the Greater Detroit Aquarium Society in January. Yep, definitely enjoyed that. That was a good time. Um, I don't know if I need to like re up my membership since the year switched. I'll talk to Ethan about that because I haven't seen anything about when the next Greater Detroit meeting is. I think that should be coming up soon. I believe. Um, I'll ping, I'll message Ethan on that. So I'll kind of recap this for everyone who's anyone who's coming new. The screen is the way it is today because the basement flooded. There was a water line above here that goes to my refrigerator for the ice maker. Unfortunately, it had a structural failure, I guess, and sprayed water all over my desk, killed my normal computer, killed cameras, killed microphones. So we're stuck with just kind of green screen today. Um, Funny part about that though, I meant to talk to you guys about this too. Like I ordered a new mic. So part of what I did yesterday was kind of go through and kind of deal with the aftermath, right? Like because it was Sunday night when I found it, basically, kind of around dinner time, and so basically dealt with the aftermath. Um, made sure things worked. Make kind of was going to see what I needed to buy. The speakers really or the mics really didn't work. They were flooded out pretty bad. So got a recommendation from a friend of mine for some new mics. Um, I ordered them and they came today, and Amazon sent me the wrong thing. So they sent me some like receiver amplifier thing. I'm like this wasn't it. So I took it. So I had to go, before the stream, I had to go take it to Whole Foods, which is my closest like Amazon return place. So hopefully they'll send me the right thing the next time. We have actually kind of funny. We have Amazon drone delivery here, and so you see them flying around every so often. But every time I've done drone delivery, it's always like they've always decided, well, we're not going to do drone delivery, and we'll just hand deliver your stuff with a person. But you do see them flying around now. So one of these days I will actually get it drone delivered. I actually want to watch it try to deliver it. It's kind of cool. I mean, I think it's like a couple bucks more if you do it, but I actually like want to like stand outside and watch it try to deliver my package. It'd be kind of interesting. So and then the big announcement for those who missed it. I am actually going to be building a new fish room here in the basement. Um, so there's an area over here. It's pretty big actually, and then it's going to spill a little bit over into the front part here. I know the one tank that I am actually going to get rid of is the big tank. I don't want to mess with that tank. It's too big. I'm all the people that I know that I could get to help move it are getting older. It's not um, it's not worth you know permanent injury to move that thing. So I think there's a guy I know from work who I might just give it to. I have to check it out. I think there's a fairly decent sized chip in it though, but I may just give it to him and be like, you got to get some buddies, take it out of my backyard and do what you got to do. But if no one wants it, um, if no one wants it, then it will probably meet the sledgehammer, honestly. It's a big tank. It's nice, but I mean, the problem though too is it's. I realized this the other day when I was talking to this guy I work with, um, and what I realized it was like that tank is like 17 years old. I didn't like. I got that tank in like when we lived in our old house on the east side of the eastern suburbs of Detroit, and near where Eric lives now, Eric Wyrock. And yeah, I was realizing, like, God, that tank's like 17 years old. I was like, well, might need to be resealed then. But yeah, so it's an old tank. So it may be just time for it to go to the cross the Rainbow Tank Bridge. I kind of want to keep the 125s. Kind of got a spot for those. What I may end up losing probably in the end is I'll lose probably some of the 20s, and I may end up losing one of the 90s, some of the 90s and 75s as I kind of go through this. So, but like I said, I'm excited to build a new fish room. Hopefully, it's the last fish room I'm building. I turned 50 at the end of January, and I'm not getting any younger, so I really don't want to build any more fish rooms. So, um, like I said, it's going to be a process, and taking that building down, taking the fish out of that building. Um, oh, okay, so okay, yeah, I'll talk to um, I'll talk. Well, okay, good. This Friday, yeah, I'm probably good for this Friday. So, so Heather's going to speak again. Okay, and then hopefully Ethan comes and I can harass him. I bugged the guy named Ethan. He owns Fishy Biz, but I'm kind of bugged him for the parts and pieces for a computer because I really do want to see if I can get that you know get those hard drives hooked up and see if I can get all my stuff back. So yeah, I mean that's one of the nice things too is a lot of the fish I keep I don't need a heater for. Um, there'll be some heaters down here, but I'm thinking the electrical load will be a lot less down here when I do the fish room down here. Now, I mean, the one thing I do have to do is I have to make sure, especially, it's nicer because it's in the house, right? Like some things I'm kind of lazy about when I was in the barn. I've got to make sure I got my crap together. But um, like I said, I'm kind of excited about it. It's kind of one of the nice things is I measured out stands, especially for the 29s um, and the 40s. I can go three high. I mean, one of them is going to be kind of close to the floor, but at the same time, I've tanks on the floor now in the barn, and it's not the end of the world. So, Lummy Dog says Michigan basements hold decently consistent temps all year. Nice for cool water species. Yeah, I mean that's you know generally pretty consistent down here. Um, one thing I'm going to buy, I think that like one of the only things I have to buy is um, is a quiet bath fan. I am going to buy a quiet bath fan for up down there. So I was having, I wasn't really having. I think um, yeah. So what the hell? I'm asking. You mentioned the problems you were having. A lot of problems. It wasn't really a lot. It were just annoying problems. Like, I mean, the one major one is like having the fish and all the stuff in that building has been very hard on it. In terms of the floor, because the floor in the upstairs portion is wood. Um, and in the beginning, I made the mistake. If I had set it up how I have it now, with the tanks around the perimeter, I think it would be a lot better off. But I put tanks in the middle, and it did kind of affect the floor some. Um, so that was part of it. Um, let me see. Like, there's just a lot of some of it's like cosmetic too. Some of it's like, hey, I just want to have a nicer building. I want to have a nicer fish room. That's a big piece of it too. It's, you know, it's the whole. I mean, there's like it's actually done pretty well for the last 8 years. I mean, it's been fairly decent. I mean, there's been a few hiccups, but there's not. After the first couple of years, I kind of really got it. It was pretty buttoned down. So hello, Stephen. Welcome. Um, so it's pretty buttoned down. It was, but like, I was kind of thinking about this when I was, thinking about how to like announce while I was doing this. Like, the why am I wanting to make a new fish room, right? Hello, Mexicali. Yeah, it was one of those things like, why do I want a new fish room? It came down to a lot of it. I mean, yeah, there were some problems like the floor. I mean, could I go and still work on the floor and put in things and do that? And some of that I'm going to end up doing anyway, just to make that building back to, um, yeah, you have, to just keep that building sellable. Like if we ever move out of here, like just to make sure that it's not like a death trap in there, right? Some of that I'm gonna have to do, like especially the upstairs floor. I'm gonna have to put some sort of like wood down on the flooring to make sure that that's all good to go. It wasn't really. It was like a bunch of different small things. I think for those, a lot of you don't know. Oh, so let me give you the cliff notes. Okay, so first things first. So Steven just came in. So let me first things first. Steven, you know about this because you commented on Discord. Fish room flooded, or not fish room. Sorry, the basement flooded. Computer dead, camera dead. Um, Not the best live stream setup with green screen with no fish. So, have to get a new computer. But good cameras. One camera's good. So that's the Cliff Notes version of the why we have probably not the best audio and just a green screen that's not centered correctly. So, one, part two, and this was decided before all hell broke loose on Sunday. I've decided to move, decommission the fish barn and build a new fish room over the next few months, and that means certain things. Like, for example, I'll go back through this again real quick. So, what it does mean, there'll be a lull in videos. The videos won't be consistent after about March. So, towards the end of March, videos will drop off some. There'll still be videos on like the tubs, conventions, things like that. I'll probably what I'm thinking about doing. I've not decided yet completely. Is doing like maybe like I have to shoot it in pieces, obviously, because this is not going to be done over a weekend. Hello, Dan. How are you? Long time no see. Yeah, it is Happy Punch Key Day. Unfortunately, I did not partake in any today. Kind of would like to actually. Those are really good. So yeah, so I'm gonna be, and I've got a space in the basement where I can fit a fairly large number of tanks. So it's gonna be good. Just want to wait for the weather to warm up a little bit, and then I kind of had to decide now too, because we're getting into prime auction season again. If I'm going to do this and downsize a little bit, I do need to have the auctions available to kind of offload some things. Yeah, so and then I was trying to go back to what's the Helm's question about the problem. Like, is this? It's all a bunch of little things. It kind of came down to the main thing was I wanted to have a nicer fish room, and then and I didn't want like this winter kind of pushed me over the edge to where like what, maybe it's better inside the house, and so it was like for example, like when we had the really really cold weather this year, um I had a couple of the drains for the tank, the tanks for the auto water change freeze. Like I'm like stuff like that, and then it's like It's like small stuff. It's not like major. And then the one thing too is the equipment that I use to run the barn is not getting any younger, right? Like for example, like one of the things that I set up to like run the auto water change in the winter from the house is I have heat tape on all the pipes that are buried underneath the ground, and they go down, come out, go underneath the house, underneath the ground, and come up in the barn. One of the things with that is, I mean, that's um, yeah, having to do that and my, that stuff. I mean, it's been working so far for the last 8 years, but it may not work forever. And do I want to have to go for an extended period of time where I don't have the ability to auto water change? No, not really. And two, do I want to, at say 55 years old, go dig my yard up and have to replace all the heat tape? Dig all the plumbing out and do all, like, no. The answer to that question is no, we're not doing that. So yeah, that was drove something, and that was a part of it too. Like I said, it's not one thing that was like, oh, this, there was no catastrophe out in the barn. I mean, the squirrels kind of didn't help either. I mean, that was kind of unnerving. Um, yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, the more I think about it, like things are getting older out there, things are aging, the infrastructure's aging, the barn's aging, you know, and do I want to come out there and we'll have the barn like caved in one day, like have a joist break or something? No. Or have whatever happen, right? Like have something in there that's not a squirrel. Say there's a skunk gets in there, or a raccoon, or some other God knows whatever else gets in there. It was kind of funny. We were talking about it at the club meeting, and one of the guys is like, I have a trail cam that's activated. Do you want to put that in the barn and see what's in there? And I'm like, dude, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what you know. I don't want to know what chaos and BS goes on in there with animals, and like I know that for the most part they're not in there when the lights are on. My daughter's like, "Yeah, you should go sleep out there." I'm like, nope, I don't want the smoke. There's definitely this winter. Um, there's been like some definitely some more activity because like the squirrels always, there's a section above the building where there's like a rafters like it's kind of covered before you go in there, and there's always been a squirrel that's lived in, like, I put a couple of fish boxes, like, hey, if I ever ship fish I should keep the boxes. Well, um so I kept those in those. I think one of the squirrels slept in those, but this year, like, the boxes have ended up down off of the building, off of that. I had them up on like a ledge up there. um but yeah, so all of a sudden it was just, all of a sudden these boxes are down and like things are shredded, and it was like, so I think the squirrel, because then there's feral cats in the neighborhood now. There's a lot of them actually. So I think the cats somehow have pressurized the squirrels. I think that was one of the reasons that they ended up in the barn too. Like the cats have kind of pressurized the situation a little bit too. And then my daughter is now feeding them too. So, um, and then I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit, kind of going in circles with this. I kind of apologize a little bit. But yeah, like one of the things is I want to have it more consistent. Um, so Dan asked how many tanks total gallons in the barn now. I counted 75 tanks. Um, it'll probably be around 40 to 50, depending on how I end up playing Tetris with some of the tanks in certain parts. So I'm kind of, I don't know what to put there. Yeah. So like the plan is, for those of you, I kind of said it a little bit earlier, but the plan is to kind of start with the 40s, the I have a really good solid plan for the 40s and 29s. I have a pretty it's at like that plan is pretty solid. It's good. Like that's going to be the starting point. The idea is I'm going to build um, the stands for those like with new wood, new everything. Um, Build those up and then move those kind of first. It's going to kind of suck to have kind of like two fish rooms for a while, but so Pebblins, yeah, well, my problem is I despise 20 longs with a passion. Um, yeah, like so Peplin said at 29 with a 20 long on top is a great stack. Yeah, I despise 20 longs with it. I have a few and I hate them. Like they're too short for me. I don't they're like it's like this. So yeah, but the thing is there will still be a pretty nice collection of fish. And there's fish that I have, I kind of have a priority list in my head of the fish I'm gonna keep. Like there will not be a good day that leaves this fish room, right? Like that's I think we all know that. And then it's gonna go kind of go from there. Like I do want to keep a few of the nicer things. Like I'm gonna keep the Cyprichromis, obviously. I may get rid of the feather fins. Just I mean, I excuse me, I really do want to keep them, but it's like I don't there's gonna be a few tough decisions. Like those are a tough one. I'm probably gonna get rid of my shell dwellers. I've got 3 different tanks of those. I don't I've kind of gotten over them. Like, you kind of look at it when you start doing this, like, hey, what fish do I really focus on? So Mike Reardon says, looks like YouTube is down if you open another tab. So Mike, do I plan? Or so Lumpy Dog said, um, do you plan on a breeding or fry rack in the new fishing? Yeah, there'll probably be some sort of breeding rack in there. Like I do want to have like the smaller tanks. I've really liked having like the 5.5 gallon tanks. Those will probably be there somewhere. So Peplin said stars. So I signed up for something that that I signed up for. Like it was like gems and rubies and So let me see. So I think they're kind of taking after TikTok with the like, various gems and things like that. So I don't see it on my screen, like, but I signed up for something. Like apparently, if you guys want to buy gems or something, I don't know how it works. So, but yeah. So apparently, there's like some sort of a gem thing that's going on. They like it was weird because I had to like verify myself with like YouTube and stuff. It was kind of strange. So I do want to have a breeding rack. I do want to keep part of the basement as like a livable-ish basement, because there's, my wife does have stuff down here, things like that. So, oh, Star Sapphire. Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna put all those fish. I don't know how well it will work out. We'll see. But I'm gonna try to put all those fish in one of the 125s. So that's my plan with the cichlids for now. So so Dan asked me if I'm still doing. No, I've kind of gotten out of saltwater. I kind of did it for breeding. Like I'm not the best reefer in the world. So I was kind of playing around with breeding clownfish. That was fun. But I think you know the problem with saltwater fish and trying to breed saltwater fish is there's nowhere to get rid of them. Like there's the saltwater club world is very different from the freshwater one. Like there's really not auctions and there are swaps, but it's all centered around coral and it's not necessarily centered around livestock. So like you, and there's enough, especially like with like clownfish and stuff. There's enough, like there's people, public, businesses that have a business of breeding saltwater fish now. So yeah, so Pebble said it's going to be a lot easier for you when it's done. Hopefully, a lot more. Yeah, I mean that was one of the things. It was like I wanted just like an easier, nicer fish room. And Beto asked a little bit further back, and I sorry I didn't get to answer that yet. But yeah, I mean it's going to make doing the videos easier too. Um, there's not going to be room there for me to like move this live streaming setup in there. Like it's the one little bit of a drawback of the room is it's a little narrow. So, but yeah, it's like I said, there's been kind of chaotic with the it's been a little bit chaotic with with the pipe bursting. Like I wanted to show you guys a lot more. Like I kind of wanted to show you the plans and like some of the tentative plans and things like that, and maybe set up the pseudo barn cam and show you around back there a little bit. But it kind of just like I got derailed big time with the water disaster. So that that whole flooding and that sort of really kind of sucked the um, kind of sucked my time up. Yesterday, I ended up working from home yesterday and was sort of in like damage mode. It's like, okay, let's see if the computer works. Let's see if the cameras work. Let's see if microphones work. Let's buy stuff on Amazon just to make sure that we can still like at least halfway function. Let's get this laptop, which actually is working really well. I'm actually kind of happy with it. Um, the one thing I have not tested yet, I should, is um, I have a external hard drive that I should test and see if that works. 'Cause that has all my daughter's volleyball games on it. I really don't want to go re-screen record all those if I don't have to. I may selectively do a few of them then, but we'll see. Um, yeah, so that's kind of it. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the fish game today. Like I sent her the thing and I had it done like early. Um, but yeah, like I said, it kind of this sort of took a turn for the worst on Sunday. Um, so Bambi McCluskey, welcome. So sorry for the chaos, but congrats on the new and improved plans. Yeah, the computer chaos was definitely not fun for me. That was not a welcome thing. But it was kind of funny though. The computer is 8 years old, so I guess in some ways, I kind of need to replace it anyway. It's sort of as time has come. Um, so yeah, so it's 8:48. I guess if you guys have any more questions, part of this, I wanted to do this on a stream too, so you guys can ask me, any questions, right? Because so I think it's you guys kind of got the point. It's like I'm not going to get out of YouTube. I'm not going to, I'm not quitting the hobby. Things like that. It's just this is just a read. Like there's going to be a break in videos. I mean, I don't have the bandwidth and the time to, put out a weekly video, do a live stream, and build a fish room. Like I can't do all three of those things, right? Yeah, the roll for fish. Speaking of that, the roll for fish food series is gonna kind of come to a conclusion as well for now. Um, so yeah, I think it's a good decision. I think at the end of the day, it'll definitely be cheaper. Like so for example, I'll just give you this kind of example. So I went back through the last year of electric bills, and the average electric cost for the barn was $757 a month, and it was very seasonal in terms of how that worked. Winter and summer, they were closer to like 850 ish or so, and then when you went to like the spring and fall, they were closer to like 600 ish. So it was definitely an expensive proposition to run the fish room. So that was our total electric bill, not just the barn, but that was the total electric bill for the house. I think, I mean, I think the house itself, like, it's 100 and some dollars. I think it would have been, like, just guessing. So, so yeah, so yeah. I mean, like, I have a pretty, in my professional life, I have a pretty decent job. Like, it's not that I couldn't pay it. It's like I want to make that kind of clear. It's like it's not that I couldn't pay it. I decided I don't want to pay it. Right? It's a you know what? I could do something a lot better and a lot cheaper. And it's like it's one of those things. It's like it's gonna be like what? It's kind of you know the barns are and the thing too is like YouTube and what I've made off of YouTube and selling fish occasionally and whatever. Like it never really like it didn't like the goal eventually was to what the hope was, and in the very very beginning, right back in the day, was to have like you know the channel blow up and it pays for all of it and everything's hunky dory and it's awesome, and the YouTube dream, which was back then was a little different, right? Back in 2018, 2019, like that was kind of like the idea in the beginning, was like, hey, you know let's do this and let's go ahead and make it. The channel will pay for the fish room and it's awesome, and the barn will pay for itself, and and maybe sell a few fish and it's awesome. That kind of never happened, right? If you look, it loses. It's a money losing thing, which is fine. Excuse me, because it's a hobby, right? Like, it was. I never went into it as a business thing. It was more of a, okay, it's a passion project, and it always has been. So, yeah, so that's kind of the story, and that was the one thing I kind of wanted to get to too. Is like, it's expensive to run that building, and then there's water. The water's not going to change much. But one thing I am going to do, I found this out the other day. I actually looked. I looked at my electric bill a little closer, and someone at the Greater Detroit meeting mentioned this. Um, he talked about the fact that the electric bill, that they bill the highest rates between 3 and 7 p.m. And so I'm going to, now that I'm starting with a clean slate, with the tanks are going to be all in the same spots and things like that. I'm going to definitely run the tanks with heaters. They will definitely turn off between the hours of 3 and 7 p.m. Lovely Dog said, "Is the basement directly heated, or just residual heat from the house?" There is one. There's one vent cut in here. Like all of the HVAC runs down here. The furnace is right over there. You might actually be able to hear the fan running. Um, but the furnace is sitting right over there. There are plenty of vents that run in and over the fish room. Um, if I so chose, it would not be terribly difficult to put a hole in the said HVAC. We'll call it plumbing, or and put some heat in the fish room. Like this one actually over here. There's one. There actually is one behind me, but the problem is, like, in the summer, especially, it gets super cold. Like, it's literally, because my work desk is back behind the green screen. Like, so yeah, like it gets like super cold in the winter or in the summer in here. I'm like, go with the AC. I'm like, so I literally have it like taped off, so that it doesn't really blow a lot of air out of it. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's one of those, like, so there's a lot of factors. I know, someone asked earlier. It was like there was just a lot of factors. It's like expensive, hodgepodge fish room, not in the greatest shape anymore, and it was like, you know what? I think it's time for a change. And I've always thought about that. Like, what was going to be like the end game? Is this going to be something I stay until I'm like old and dead and I die out there someday, when when I'm like 30 years from now, I just drop dead one day out in the fish barn, and you know my wife realizes I haven't been in the house in a couple of days and comes out and finds there's a lot of things starts thinking about it, right? It's like we drop dead out there one day, and I mean something could happen out there, and my wife and kids don't go out there, and they go to bed before. Well, my daughter doesn't, but like my wife goes to bed before I do, and she's like, so like I don't show up till like the next morning, and my ass is sitting out there in the barn, you know, in some incapacitated state out there for, you know, I mean, it could be a while. I thought about it now that you got me think about it. Like you could be, yeah. I mean, I could be out there for, it's really to think about as you get older, as you hit like 50 years old, you're like, crap, you're not invincible anymore, right? You're not 20. So, yeah, and Lumpy, I have a dehumidifier. That's definitely part of the plan. Is to have a dehumidifier in here. I may have to do the lids. I have a very poor history with lids. Um, I always get pissed at them and just throw them off of the tanks, but I may have to put lids on the top ones, especially just so it doesn't do bad things. No, but yeah, Foxy, I know it got kind of dark, but it was like, as you think about those things, right? It's like, I could fall, just slip on something, fall out there and no one goes out there. Like I could, like fall into, say I trip over some junk I left on the floor and crash into a tank and cut my head open and, and pass out or knock myself out there. And I mean, the only thing that's going to find me out there is a squirrel. So, it would be one of the, it's like, because my family doesn't go out there. And so, I mean, it's something to think about, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be dark about it, but it's like, something like, hey, man, I'm like, kind of, some crap like that can happen. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like I said, yeah. So it's just one of those things, right? Where it's just like, yeah, I mean, everything's getting, kind of going back again, like everything, and I'm cool with the decision. Like, it wasn't one of these things where it was like, it was not made lightly. It took me a lot of time. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was very, it's something I was at ease with. I'm comfortable with it. I'm happy about it. Um, I'm kind of looking forward to having like a nicer fish room. There's a couple tanks out there I know that are scratched up that I'm gonna probably get rid of just because you know one of the things that really pissed me off, just kind of being honest, was I bought when Aquarium Co-op had the plant packs, the random plant packs. I made a video on it and I didn't catch it at first. And I literally built that did that aqua, sort of aquascape, we'll call it. My attempt at aquascaping anyway. It was the most scratched up tank in my fish room. So it's like yeah, it's one of those. It's like I was like crap. So it's like what's one of the things is like I really want to have. It's one of the things that I really want to have, like the nicer fish room. Like I want it easy to work on too. There's a couple places in the fish bar where it's just hard to reach into, hard to work on. And so it's like what's one of the goals is to make this kind of easier. So I think I've rambled on. I didn't know if we were going to go a whole hour because, like I said, there wasn't a lot to talk about. I just kind of wanted to get on here and say, hey, this is what the situation is. So if you don't see videos, if you don't see a video, here's why, right? And I'll probably have to make a long form video too, um, just because I think there's a population of this channel that watches long form videos, and I'll probably put a short out linking back to the stream. Just say, hey, if you want to know why there's no rule for fish food anymore, check this out. So Dan Slee asked me what is going to happen with the channel name. It's going to say Stay Fish Tank Barn. I made like 1,000 videos between shorts and whatever. Um, so I think it's kind of needs to stay, in my opinion. Um, unless if any of you have a strong opinion on that, otherwise, put it in the comments. Say your piece, but um, not going to be offended at all. You know, I generally don't get offended anyway, but yeah. So Beto said, for example, we were talking earlier that he found someone that happened to someone recently, was knocked out and was found hours later with an injury to the face. Yeah. Yeah, so Steven, like you could, Steven, you came in a little bit late. Yeah, so there's a part of the barn that has a garage door. That has like the real garage door. Like it's hidden behind some 75-gallon tanks. You guys don't normally see it when I go out there. But that's covered up in the front. I built like a wall to cover it up. So I'm thinking about taking a piece of that when I uncover it to reveal the garage door again. And I'm thinking about taking a square of that and making like a piece of little fish barn artwork out of it as to kind of like an ode to that time, right? That time in my fish hobby. So I think that's that'll be kind of towards the end of the plan. But so thank you, Peplin. Yeah, I think it's a good plan. I think it's going to be solid. Um, like I've said this a couple times now. Like the fish barn, like I didn't know what I wanted when I built the original one. Like I didn't have a niche per se. I was kind of all over the map, and the fish room and the fish barn kind of reflects that. Like it reflects the whole, like, hey, you wanted to do cichlids and guppies and this and that, and like it was kind of all over the map. Like if I were to build a new fish, like if I were to go back in time to my, 8 years ago to my younger self and be like, hey, you're gonna end up wanting to do live bears and stuff. I mean, that building would be full of 40 breeders and 29 gallons. So So I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. We'll do, like I said, the live streams are going to continue. There'll be a stream. There won't be a stream next week because I'm going to be doing like auction prep and stuff like that. Just catching fish, getting that stuff kind of settled and everything. But the week after, I hopefully we'll have a good computer. The computer will be good and everything. So I think I'll have a computer by then. Hopefully that we can kind of get back to the normal programming with our normal stuff. And we'll probably spend a little time out in the barn. We haven't been out there recently, but we'll battle the squirrels maybe a couple times, and take you around that process as well. So yeah, it's 9:03. So I hope you guys had fun. Thank you guys for watching. I really did enjoy your company tonight. It was good. Thank you for putting up with the not perfect setup tonight, but didn't have a lot of time to come up with anything better. So I think we're just gonna have to kind of roll with this. But I'm glad that the audio was good and that the video quality was decent enough. So yeah. So with that, I hope you guys have a great night. Have a great weekend, and then I will see you 2 Tuesdays from now. But I'm sure I'll be floating around the community from time to time here in the next couple weeks. So have a great night, and stay safe, stay fishy, and I'll see you a couple weeks from now.